whether it will exist or not.
Yeah, like these conditions or contingencies are not neither necessary nor sufficient for issuance, but they are important factors to think about if you consider triggers for possible issuance. So the first would be if cash were to disappear. If we have a cashless economy and we believe that there's a fundamental role for public money in the economy, then we have to think seriously about replacing that with something else, something digital. If people start using alternative digital currencies, whether that's a Bitcoin or a stable coin or a foreign central bank digital currency, and that moves people away from the Canadian dollar, then it basically makes it impossible to do monetary policy, makes it even more difficult with fiscal policy. So we have to think seriously about how to counteract that. And a CBDC would be one of many policy moves that would have to be made in order to keep people using the Canadian dollar. The fact that some people use other things is not an issue. Like I said before, options are good, choice is good. People already have US dollar bank accounts. They can use Alipay and WeChat in some circumstances. Any two individuals can trade using whatever they want. That's permitted, that's good. But if it becomes widespread and people don't use the Canadian dollar anymore, that has serious implications for monetary policy, financial stability policy.
The sovereignty of the country.
Exactly.
Let's be real.
Yeah, having a money is very in line with being a country.
It's not only the money, it's also the data that comes with the money these days, right? That with physical cash, you never got that. But with digital cash, the data that is associated can be siloed in foreign jurisdictions.
Yeah, that's a big factor. That like there's political ramifications around what money gets used as well, and that's entering into these discussions about CBDC. I try and stick in just the economics and leave the politics to others.
Okay, speaking about politics, forgive me for interjecting, because like everybody's reading the news, like south of the border and north of the border. You guys have become like the beautiful cheerleaders of politicians these days, as the U.S. going into election next year, and we're gonna be having elections anywhere between now to a couple of years, whatever that is, right? Who released CBDCs? Who do we need to blame? You're gonna wake up one day and say, let's push the button. Is Governor Thief that he used to be a U of T, he left, he wakes up one day and says, yeah, let's push the button really. How CBDCs are gonna come in existence? And what is the role of the Bank of Canada or any central bank in the Western world in this picture?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the answer to that depends on what country you're in. But in Canada, currently, we do not have the legal right to issue a CBDC. Our legislation talks about cash being in paper or polymer form. It talks about basically wet signatures from the governor on the bill. So these are not technology agnostic, but they are just a historical artifact. I think it should be easier to change the legislation to allow for the issuance of a retail public money that doesn't depend on a particular technology. But we can't change the legislation. That's the government, that's Parliament, would have to be involved in the change of legislation. There's other changes that would be required to do a CBDC well. Is it legal tender? We would want it to have the same status as cash. That would require other changes. And then there's other rules that would have to be modified for AML, KYC, the privacy legislation potentially. Different things would have to change. So no, this is not going to be an overnight process. We can make the decision and make a recommendation that it's a good idea and encourage the government to make certain changes, but it will be the government's decision in the end.